Hello, my sweet friends, and welcome back to Dungeons & Dragons Storytime on YouTube with your friend and host for today, Dave Makes Noises. Today, we're asking the D&D players of r/MrRipper, what was the best way you completely shut down an encounter, combat or social? Part 1. My old man Dragonborn Samurai just yelled "not now" in Draconic at a group of incoming bandit kobolds and drakes. Nat 20 in Intimidation, so they just turned and ran. I literally noped an encounter. My DM was doing a werewolf encounter. He'd been repeatedly making a big deal of how the curse of the werewolf was horrible, and a ton of lore about how the werewolf's curse had been affecting the town for generations, etc. My cleric just came prepared with a ton of remove curses ready to go. Had them all free of the curse in a few turns. He'd really played up the aspect of them struggling against the curse with their human sides, and once I removed the curse, the rest of the werewolves just sort of decided to line up and wait their turn. My tiefling warlock was supposed to be making a pivotal choice in a campaign. 2 warring kings were locked in battle in the remains of a battlefield. I was supposed to choose a side when both were in the wrong. I took a bow from the ground, notched 2 arrows, and rolled a nat 20. Both kings died that day, and I ended a war. We were fighting some really high-level dark knights on a bridge over a big drop with the big bad on their side. We were supposed to get our asses handed to us, but one of our players on our team, a dwarf I think, had the tendency to just make everything into a cigarette and smoke it. The bridge was made of wood. He dropped his cigarette, so the dwarf shut down an encounter, beat the entire campaign, and got high at the same time. Legend. In a recent game, I had my group working with a small dwarven village against an orcish invasion. The group had gone into a cave to secure some dwarven property from the orcs, and mid-combat with some orcs, the cleric of the group felt a ghostly essence pass through him. Later, the group found a small room with "Keep out, dead inside" written in orcish. Inside were 12 dwarven skeletons that the group instantly massacred. When the party entered a small room, they saw the ghostly apparition of a dwarf sat next to a blue ethereal fireplace. "Welcome, friends. I've been waiting on help to strike back against the orcs. I have the reanimated bodies of my clanmates next door, ready to reclaim their glory. Will you stand with us?" The party then explained that they had dusted the skeletons, then lectured the ghost on passing through his body without consent, but still asked if they could stay in the room with him to rest and heal up. The ghost looked with pure rage, flicked his wrist, and with a huge gust of wind, blew them out of the only safe room in the cave and locked the door. No long rest for you. I was playing Descent into Avernus, and on our way to Candlekeep, we were ambushed by some dragon cultists. Earlier, when we had encountered some of the cultists, I had picked up one of their masks, and the fact that I spoke Draconic, I knew about some important person within their organization. So, once the cultists came upon us, I put on the cultist mask I had taken and managed to bluff that our party was on an important mission under orders by their leader. Due to a successful deception check, we were left alone. TLDR, I bluffed a cultist through a symbol I took and information I recalled about them. I DM a homebrew campaign where there are these wells of power scattered about the continent, basically holes in the ground with massive beams of magic pouring out of them, and each well have a specific weapon formed by the magic of the well. My barbarian had already found a cursed great axe that was one of these weapons, and the party had just found the second after killing a young white dragon, a halberd. I had described the touching of the 2 blades as causing a shockwave. I was going for a kind of repulsion from each blade similar to the Ninjago golden weapons, so when the party encounters this giant turtle T-Rex looking boss monster, the barbarian decided to stab both into the creature's jaw, and the explosion knocked its jaw off and disabled its breath attack, making the encounter fairly easy. Injured, fatigued, at the end of a hard underground dungeon, our party slowly treaded forward. A child soldier / failed experiment, a delusional dragonborn bard, and I, a soulless scientist, to be brief. We were really hoping that we could get out without having to fight another monster. Turns out we had chosen basically the worst options throughout the session, and were presented a demigod who had a personal grudge against the child. He had found us and made it clear that he would not leave before he had dismembered, I quote, the little girl and the ones who dared protect her. The bard offered the child in sacrifice and got downed in one go, and I was next in line. Then I remembered I had this insanely high-level spell that needed a crit to succeed at my current level. I knew it could do something great, but did not know what. So, as any sane person would do, I cast it. Nat 1. Turns out the spell could transport a target in a parallel world. Demigod popped out of existence, and my character developed a superiority complex. Note, he later returned because my character from the parallel world did the exact same thing, except it brought not one, but two demigods back to us. We are still running away to this day. Okay, so I have the perfect one for this, and I'm so excited to share. This happened in the last session we played, the third session of my first campaign. It's kind of long, but definitely worth it. So our party was sent to get some blood moss from the swamp. Our party consisted of me, a human warlock under the pact of the Lurker of the Deep named Zygon, our dragonborn cleric Yob, and our rock gnome Bubba. We were all level 5 at this point. So far, I had kept the fact that I was a worshipper of the Lurker a secret because his worship was shunned and frowned upon in this campaign. So we enter a small clearing filled with multiple small pools of water, and our DM starts placing an insane number of dice to represent enemies. I'm not sure the exact number, but I'd say at least 30. They were all frog people. I rolled the lowest initiative, but still higher than the frogs, so Yob drew his mace and started cussing out the frogs in an intimidation attempt, but rolled a 7. Bubba drank a health potion, since he needed to heal from the last encounter, and I stepped forward, knowing it was time to reveal my secret. Now, I have put a lot of points into charisma, gathering the actor feat, and am able to cast Mask of Many Faces at will. My DM also gave me a special homebrew bag of devouring that was full of water and linked to the Lurker's realm. I commune with the Lurker by sticking my head inside and talking to him on a daily basis. This is important for what's next. So my character sticks his right arm into his bag and casts Pact Weapon, which turns his arm into a 10-foot-long tentacle. He uses the Mask of Many Faces to make himself look exactly like the Lurker. Think a Nautilus or Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean. And with the actor feat, I can mimic the voice of anyone I've heard speak. So as I'm standing there with my arm having turned into one of the Lurker's tentacles and having donned the visage and voice of the Leviathan himself, I roll for Intimidation. Nat 20. After bonuses, it was technically a 31.
Tremble before the might of the Lurker. Flee, or I will drag you to the depths of the abyss, where you shall never return.
I shout at them. Now this display is heightened by my ability to telepathically communicate with any creatures that have an innate swimming speed within 120 feet. They were all within 120 feet. So as all the frog people see this creature shouting at them, their minds are also filled with the voice of the Lurker, telling them to flee. Needless to say, they all ran away, several passed out, and my allies had several questions as to what the fuck I had just done. It was at D&D 3.5. We had to kill an evil magician who stole the power of the god of fire for himself. 750 hit points, infinite fireballs, and cast fireball as an attack action. Nothing out of normal for our group since we had lots of magic items. So the magician gave his speech about how he was going to rule the world through the flames of the gods, and we started the fight. First turn, our wizard pulls out one of his magic items, a magic d6 he would roll to apply an effect depending on the result. We never used it before this encounter. 1, 2, and 3 would kill whoever rolled the dice. 4 would summon an Ifrit to grant a wish that would probably screw the wisher. 5 would cause a wild magic trigger. 6 would give the user the ability to point towards a creature and make it die somehow. The DM made this dice to have a fun magic item to test the player's greed and didn't think we would use it in combat as the whole party was made of new players, so he didn't take notes on it. He was one of the most honest DMs I ever had. The wizard rolled a 6 and pointed towards the magician. The party and the DM were like, holy shit, and the boss killed himself. Not a single turn was taken after that. Oh, and the DM made the dice break because the magician had a powerful will to live. Hello, my infinite meat vessels of writhing, seething cosmic consciousness, and thank you for attuning some of your brain tubes to this video, and as always, for doing so to the very end. I just wanted to take this opportunity to remind you to please check out our official subreddit, r/MrRipper. If you'd like to share your story with us, that would be the place to do it, as it is the de facto hub of our beloved community. If you're a DM or a player looking for a group, you will be pleased to know that at the time of this recording, Mr. Ripper's Group Finder Discord server is over 2,600 100 members strong, and new games are being posted every day. If you love the channel and want to support us, please consider checking out one of our sponsors or some merch from down below. I hope that you spent some time reflecting on how you can better live your absolute best life during the holidays. Downtime is great for quiet contemplation. If you love me and want to make my day, you can follow me at Dave Makes Noises on TikTok. I post daily content there, and I've been having so much fun with it. It would be a treat to see you there. Thank you so much again for watching. We love you here at Rip Daddy's house. Please sub for Nat 20s and ding that dong for advantage on your next attack, save, or ability check. And we look forward to seeing you again in a couple of days.